Welcome to this podcast. My name is Filippa Levermark, and I created this show so that you can listen in on the sessions that I do. Perhaps you're going through something similar, or maybe someone close to you is. Either way, I hope that you gain some insights, some new perspectives, and tools that can help you in your growth and healing journey. In this session, Nina is struggling with self-sabotaging and procrastinating on things she wants to do. Her desire is to figure out why this is going on and how to shift this energy so that she can move forwards in her life. Welcome to listen in on our conversation, where she connects to an old pain, managed to shift it, and feels excited about life in the end. What would you like help with today?
I'd like help to try to figure out why I am self-sabotaging and how to, well, not just figure out why, but like how to not do it and
Yeah.
move on from that.
Okay. And what is it right now that you feel is affected by your self-sabotaging?
Um, it's mostly like, I think in my free time in the weekends or other times that I feel like it's almost like I want to do things and there's certain things I should be doing or I want to do to improve or like apply for a job or do something else. And then it's it's almost like I feel like I'm on a subconscious level. I feel comfortable in the role of being the person that's but sort of a bit of a fuck up. Oh, you can't figure that out, you know. I can't quite explain it. But it's like there's one part of me that does want to do those things that are slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then there's another side of me that's making sure that just not, I don't know, making sure it doesn't happen. And then going, well, why do you think you'd be able to do that?
Okay.
You know, you are this and this and that.
Okay. What is it that you would like to do that you're stopping yourself from doing right now?
Um, some of them are like there was one job I was really interested in applying for, and I sort of kept postponing or finding other things that were more important all of a sudden. And then it's like, oops, now they found someone else. And then I get annoyed with myself for not doing that thing I really wanted to do. And yeah, that would be one thing. Or like at the weekend, I want to get some things done and this and that, and then I end up um, like doing nothing, just sitting like on my sofa, being like comatose. And no, part of it is also I need to realize I do need more rest than I sometimes think I do. But it's also, you know, then it ends up spiraling because then I don't get anything done. And then I can use that as a hammer to hit myself in the head and go, oh, there you go. You can't, I mean, you can't even go out and do the dishes. You just sat there in the sofa for 6 hours, 8 hours, you know. So
What?
it can be things that are like moving me forwards with life, like a job,
Yeah.
or it can be really basic things like doing the dishes.
Yeah. What is your own feeling for this? Because it's one thing to be in a kind of freeze mode because you're like burnt out or stressed, right? And you just like can't handle life, which is might be one area of this. And there's another thing to want to like to postpone things because of fear, right? One
Yeah,
is for me, there's
yeah,
slightly different. The sofa version for me sounds like I'm so like I really need to rest, right? I'm maybe in a freeze mode and I just can't be bothered. I just need to be, right? And the other one feels more like this could be like I'm not taking action on this, or I'm postponing this, and that can be from a different place.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'd like to focus more on the first one probably, because I think you're right. There are sort of two different. They're coming from two different places.
Yeah. But what is your feeling that you want to, what is your feeling first around all of this? What do you think it is? What do you feel that it is?
I think the first one, it's like, first of all, it's like it's the fear of making also the wrong choices. So also like, because it's not like I choose not to write it. It just doesn't quite happen, because if I decide not to write the application and put it in, then it's like it's a decision I made, and I have to sort of with myself be able to say justify, but like, why did you know you want that job, and by not doing something, I'm obviously still taking an action, um, or something, something happens by me not doing it. But it's almost like this fear of I don't know. I don't know if it's easier to not do it and be rejected. It's the fear of rejection, if that's what's playing up. And then it's sort of like, the inner voice going, well, you weren't going to get it anyway.
Yeah.
Or if I did get that, so it's almost like, in a way, it's almost like a protective mechanism, in a way, from the hurt of, I don't know, not being chosen or not being good enough, and you shouldn't think you're all that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you already kind of answered the reasoning why. So there's the fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And then the not good enough anyway.
Yeah.
Like putting yourself down and like trying to protect you from that rejection, right? So let's start looking at what is active in you right now in terms of this. So already now, when you're kind of thinking and speaking about it,
Mm-hmm.
I would say just not acting on your desire. What does that bring up for you in your body?
The part of not acting just brings it's like a heaviness.
Yeah.
A real heaviness. It's like this sort of the real sort of also this real heavy passiveness of I don't know, not being active in your life. It's just like a real
Yeah, like a heaviness. And where do you feel that in your body?
sort of like from up here and going all the way down to my stomach, but mostly up here.
Yeah, in your chest.
Very like the whole, also like you sort of like stuck in porridge or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
so let's connect to this energy first, this heaviness.
mm-hmm.
You already have the where it is, and there's a like a heavy energy here, right? What if you can really connect to this and feel it, allow yourself to feel it? Do you have any kind of messages from here, any information? What does it want to tell you?
I don't know what it wants to tell me, but I can feel that there's some hurt there.
Good.
There's some sadness there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we feel the sadness and start feeling it? Where in your body do you feel the sadness? Is it in the same area, or is it somewhere?
Yeah, it's always like right here.
Yeah.
Between like my
the breastbone, we say in Swedish. I don't know if
that's yeah
in English. Yeah.
and further up, sort of
Yeah. Good.
Real.
And in this sadness, if you connect to it, so you can connect to the area, you can put a hand there and just feel that little hurt. What comes up for you when you start feeling that?
I feel smaller, and I feel like I'm a disappointment to my parents.
Okay. So I'm a disappointment to my parents.
Yeah.
When did you start believing that?
I'm not quite sure. I know one there was one incident that I remember when I was a teenager, but there's probably more when I was younger, because my my dad passed away when I was 5, and he had been teacher at the high school that I was attending, and I was about to be thrown out for missing too many classes for what I now realise was probably depression and anxiety. Um, and I remember coming into the headmaster's office and being told that the only reason he didn't throw me out was because of my dad, because he had liked my dad. And it just made me feel like, like letting him down, and just made me feel like such a failure. And I don't think I could articulate what was going on with me at the time. People just thought I was, skipping classes for the hell of it. There was never anyone looking into how I was doing.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough questions about why that might be happening. And
Yeah.
I just remember that, and he was like, I just felt so little, and I like like a disappointment, and like, because especially, when people die, they I don't know, they can almost become saints. They're so good, and they're this and this and that. So obviously you want to, and especially if it's your parents, you want to make them proud.
Yeah. So how old are you when this happened?
I think I was 18.
Yeah. Can you revisit that moment, but now looking at it as an adult? So you're going back there and you're seeing your 18-year-old in this state of feeling like a disappointment, right? And first, I just want you to check in with her, since no one did that for her. Like, how is she actually feeling?
She's really, really upset.
Yeah.
She just shuts down and tries to blank out the world, just
Yeah.
disappear in her own head, because she can't quite cope with the demands and being where she is.
Yeah.
So she just shuts down.
And now that you're here and you're seeing her in this shutdown, what does she need in this moment? What would she have needed from an adult?
Just someone holding her, and someone telling her that her worth is not dependent on that.
On her performance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not, that she's exactly how she's supposed to be, that she's good just like she is, and she's not wrong, and she's good exactly as she is.
Yeah. And how we can now turn this language to her, right? We can turn this sentences to her, so we can let her know now that her worth is not dependent on performance, and that it was very understandable as well that she would be upset and overwhelmed, and she didn't really have someone to talk to or to be validated in her experience, and people didn't understand what she needed back then, and that she is not a disappointment. She did the best she could.
Yeah.
With the resources that she had, and the fact that nobody saw that was unfortunate. But now we are seeing it. You are seeing it. You see her. You see the struggle she went through. How does she feel when you're meeting her in that?
I'm not quite sure she quite believes it yet. It's not. I can tell her, but it's not quite. She's not quite convinced, I would say.
No, and that makes sense. But maybe you can also give her a hug, hold her,
Yeah.
be with her.
And I think it's just also the whole, and I still have that feeling in me, that whole idea that you should just be able to, just do it. Why can't you just do it? get up and do the things. You're clever. You should be able to do this.
Yeah. So let's talk to that part that's saying that right now. Where is that part coming from? You should be able to do this. Just why don't you just get up?
I don't know. It feels like my own voice in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Also because I was always doing really well at school previously,
Yeah.
and then and I if I'd been able to sit and do it, I could have been doing really really well, but I couldn't, and it's yeah.
Do you feel that in this way you were a disappointment to yourself?
Yeah, in a way, or just like not understanding how I can, um, not perform at a high level all the time, and how I could not, yeah.
So that part of you that doesn't understand why you can't perform, why can't you, do these things. Can we talk to this part directly? What do you want me to perform?
Just everything.
What kind of thing?
Just do all the things that are in your head. Do it rather than just sitting there.
Okay, what thing do you want me to do?
Just have a million and ideas, and just not sit there in a dream world and watch the world go by, and actually be out there and do things that to the maximum of your capacity.
Yeah. So there's always that kind of voice inside of us that also tries to push us, like in a healthy way. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, okay, let's get up, let's go and get ourselves outside so we do something, right? And for me, that voice is a healthy voice. It might not always be the most effective way to get you to do something because it can put a lot of pressure on you, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's a voice that helps us get out to nature when we really feel stuck inside, or it helps us to get things going, right?
Yeah.
But I'm curious why this voice came up when we're working with this 18-year-old who is very understandable from your perspective now why she couldn't get the grades that she could, because she was going through a lot of emotional turmoil, right? And maybe there's grief, maybe there's sadness, maybe there's the the things that were unprocessed that couldn't be processed in that moment. So from your perspective, you can understand that now. So what does this part of you that's trying to push you to do things, why did it come up in that situation?
Because it doesn't want to end there again. It doesn't want
Yeah.
to be there again.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah.
And because I feel like life is flying by, and
What if you were the 18-year-old again? What would she need? How would she need to be met when it comes to taking actions and doing things that would not feel like pressure, but would feel kind?
yeah, because that's the thing. She would need just the pressure taken off.
Yeah.
Because if there's too much pressure, she just shuts down and she can't do anything.
Yeah.
Um,
So what would she need?
she would need to someone to help her take all the guilt away, the guilt and the shame of not, being able to perform. And she would need someone to hold her hand and go for a walk in the forest or something.
Yeah.
And then she would need someone to just encourage her. I can see in my head like a cozy house with a bit of music playing, like company. She'd need company, but relaxing and nice company. Somebody who's cooking whilst humming a little bit, you can sit and you can do a little bit of something if you want, or you cannot, and it's all fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And somebody who's just, just okay with it.
Yeah. And someone who just allowed her to be.
Yeah,
Would that feel good for her?
yeah,
And someone who also made her feel safe and cared
yeah.
for. Yeah. So this is a type of caretaker for yourself that you want to embody today, because you believe that putting pressure on yourself is how you would make yourself do things, but actually it has had the reverse effect. You just
Yeah,
shut down because of
yeah.
that pressure, right? So the part of you that wants to get things going, that part of you needs to relearn the caring way. You don't want to be harsh towards yourself because it doesn't work. The harshness doesn't work on you. It's not effective. It causes the opposite result. So the part of you that really wants to care for you, to go out and do things that you know are good for you, right? The healthy voice, this voice needs to understand that if you want to get results, you need to be caring and allow you to be primarily, not to perform, not have any pressure, but just allow you to be before thinking of performing.
It's just so difficult because it always still comes up the sort of shame, and it feels like shame, and the sort of like, why can't you just do it? You should just be able to do these things. Like it feels like everybody else can just do it, and it feels, yeah,
So let's look at that that's coming up right now. The shame, the
yeah,
guilt, where do you feel it in your body?
a little bit lower than like my the breastbone, like it's a bit like solar plexus, and because it's also like this. Oh, I remember like with my schooling and that not going well, then it became sort of like, almost like a joke. And that was, like um, when my child, he started having problems with school, a family member would say, well, you know, well, you certainly know, you should be able to tell them what not to do, like with, I have experience in, how can I explain it? With my experience of not going to school, I should know how to help them when they had problems going to school, And it's just sort of like, ha ha ha, it's just like, it just became, like a standing sort of joke, in the family almost.
Yeah.
And
So
that I wouldn't say I laughed along with it, but it was,
it's something you want to change a story around, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So let's keep our attention on the body inside the shame and the guilt. So how do you describe the sensation? Is there a pressure? Is there tension? Is there heaviness? What's going on in the solar plexus area?
It's more of a jittery feeling that I sort of want to move away from. It's something I
Yeah.
don't want to be in. Uh,
So
it's
really
not
good.
heavy. More like, oh, like I want to
Yeah.
shake my shoulders and get it. Oh.
Yeah. Excellent. But stay with your awareness there. Stay in the uncomfortability, if that's a word.
Yeah, I could feel it like between my shoulders as well.
Yeah.
Like between my shoulder blades. Is that sort of like, if you think of something like spiders and you get that, ugh,
Yeah.
you want to shake it off you.
Yeah. Yeah. And what does this guilt or shame, I don't know what you named it, what information has it got? Apart from it wanting to, or you wanting to shake it off.
Yeah.
What is it telling you right now? If there's any image, if there's a sentence, if there's words, what does it want?
I can feel that there's some anger there now.
Good.
I feel it's changed a little bit. There's some anger
Yeah.
that sort of says, that's not how it fucking was,
Yeah.
That's not how it was. This is not, this is not, I shouldn't be ashamed. I shouldn't be ashamed of having had, you know, mental health issues, of struggling. I shouldn't be ashamed. It shouldn't be something we make fun of, even if we didn't, even if nobody understood what was going on,
Yeah.
or nobody, it's
For
yeah,
a question to defy the emotion, did you feel at any point humiliated on this?
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely,
good.
yeah, definitely, both like in the office
Yeah,
and then sort of generally it was also also humiliating because I didn't understand it myself, and I didn't understand why I couldn't, and I didn't understand also with my family. It was humiliating,
yeah,
something that was a really difficult time for me
yeah,
being sort of made, and I probably in some ways made light of it myself, but in a way it was
yeah,
because I also felt it was showcasing like typical sort of like could do so much. Look at what look what you're doing with it. Look at what you're doing with your talent, so to speak.
yeah. So can we, I know that there's anger there, but I want to address the humiliation first, since the anger is speaking directly to it. Like, this is nothing I want to be ashamed of, right? Humiliation is usually behind the humiliation, there can be anger because it's like, first, the humiliation is associated with shame. And then under that can be anger, right? Because it's like, this is not right. Something feels off. But just feel first if there's residue of this humiliation.
Yeah,
Good. Where do you feel it?
sort of like flowery leaves coming out from here.
Yeah,
It's like a bit. I don't know. It feels like a big shape of flowery leaves here that are
yeah.
not a very fixed texture.
And what's going on in the solar plexus and between the solar plexus and the belly?
Just like a big, a thin but deep and black hole.
Can we
Sort
go
of
with our
drilling.
awareness in that?
Yeah.
And what happens when you place your awareness here?
It's like it's just like and it keeps going down the hole, going down and down and down and down.
What does it want, this hole?
I don't know. It's almost like I can sort of imagine you sitting at the bottom of a well, and you're sitting there looking up at the people who are then taunting you.
And when you look at this energy, what does it want from you right now?
Yeah, because now it's changing a little bit. The pictures are changing, so now the well feels more like a safe place. It wants to feel safe
Yeah,
away from that. So now they're becoming more distant, and it's becoming more like like in a children's book, like a cozy fox cave. Where you imagine there's furniture inside, a little wooden chair for the fox with clothes on, and
yeah.
yeah.
And how can I make this energy feel safe if you ask it?
Again, like with care, I sort of get pictures of again some sort of caring adult or grandmother putting
Yeah,
like the person, me, or the little fox getting like a coat on and like it's okay, you can go out there and like a coat as a sort of protection against the world, and
yeah,
just it doesn't matter. They don't matter. They're not important. But it's like this love and protection of the coat, um, to go out in the real world outside of the safety of the cave.
yeah. And how can I care? How can I show care to this energy?
By knowing that you're enough, by knowing you're perfect as you are,
Yeah,
and by knowing that what others say or think or whatever, it's really not important.
yeah. And how does this energy feel when you say that to it?
It feels nice, it feels lighter, it feels like I'm getting images of like this little fox with its jacket on,
Yeah,
going out to the world, sort of a bit, a bit like a child or teenager with that sort of stubborn, I'm just going to go out there and do whatever. Sort of a bit of a lightness, there's like a lightness. Just walking down the street and they can say whatever because they're not even in my world.
yeah.
So
Okay.
so it's like it's a safe base.
Yeah.
It's again, it feels like a grandmother. It's just giving you that, yeah, the trust to go out.
Yeah. And amazing. And let's just look at the anger now, since you mentioned that before.
Yeah,
So when you feel this anger that's coming from this, like, I didn't do anything wrong, I shouldn't feel shame,
yeah.
right? Uh, where is this anger if you tune into it?
I think it's quite deep in my belly,
Yeah.
and it feels like sort of like a low simmer, almost like a low, that it could just like, rah, but not, yeah, because I'm not, I'm really not very good at being angry, and I think I need to get more in touch with anger and the feelings of anger, because I think they help me protect myself rather than turn everything inwards. But
Yeah.
so I feel like there's some anger that's almost I don't know, dangerously brewing. I sort of could see almost like, like classic big witches pot of whatever potion brewing, and it's bubbling, and it could like really start going everywhere, almost like a volcano.
Good. So tune into the anger, feel it, and I wanted to ask it, what does it want to express? What does it want to say?
Fuck them all.
Yeah. Good. What else?
They don't get to decide.
They don't get to decide what.
I don't quite know.
Okay. But they don't get to make my decisions.
Yeah, or they don't get to decide what I am and what I'm not.
Yes. Good. What else?
I don't know, but it's like go, just go, go, go. It's sort of got an energy to it. And sort of
Good.
seeing someone like stamping along.
Where do I want to go? Or is it
Just
they
out
feel
out in the world in a way. Just out in the world.
yeah. Anger is also our ability to take action,
Yeah.
right? It's like the let's do something about this, right?
Yeah. 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 Which is in a way the opposite of the let's not take any action.
Yeah.
Like not writing the resume and that being an action in itself.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, I think I need some more of that energy.
yeah, so if we just tune into the anger a little bit again, is there anything more in the anger that you feel is relevant right now? Is it active?
I don't know if it's saying something, it just feels like a silent, simmering rage, like a general, generalized rage, not necessarily with this, but like probably lots of things.
Yeah. Okay. So there might be lots of things once you start looking and opening up the door of the anger that you want to say to different people, that you want to express. And even so, it might be a time when that anger was when it started, to look into like when the anger started that wasn't there, right? Maybe it was when you were 18, maybe it was younger, maybe it was older. But since it's not, it's just brewing, it's just underneath. It's not, I don't feel it being super active, but this is
No,
for you to look at later, that in your own time, to start addressing the anger if it comes up, only when it's active, right?
it hardly ever is.
Yeah.
It's just always, unless I suppose I did like what we've done today when I go.
Okay, maybe do look at it, but maybe go in and do look at it and see what's going on there. Like if it unfolds, right? But there's something here that I'm seeing with just to get a full picture of the session now, because you came in with this self-sabotaging pattern,
Mhm.
right? And what we found was there is a part of you that needs to be loved and cared for just as you are, without any pressure, and just allow yourself to be with your emotions, with being cared for, being loved. And then there is another part of you that has been harsh towards that part.
Yeah,
thinking that the harshness will change, postponing of things, and the lethargy, or this, right, the kind of the non-action, right? And when you have these two parts, they're in conflict with each other, and you end up doing nothing. So if you just want to be, and then you have a part of you that wants you to do things, and they're in conflict, you end up not doing anything.
Yeah.
Right? And neither of these parts want that. One part wants to be loved and cared for and just free to be who she is, and the other part wants you to start taking action and go for your desires. So now that you're addressing these two parts, there is a very easy middle way here, and it's to obviously continuously meeting these parts, right? When you feel overwhelmed, there's lots of emotions, you don't know what's going on, that's the time for you to sit with your emotions and to maybe seek community, seek friends, seek something that you need where you don't have to perform, right? And what I want you to do is that your higher self, the part of you that wants the best for you, I want you to really care for that part. Make sure that she gets what she needs, because you're basically reparenting yourself. If she doesn't get what she needs, she will shut down. And if she shuts down, the other part of you will start putting pressure on that part, and you don't want to end up there. So she needs to be cared for by you, and you need to be the adult that puts her in a safe place. And this is really important. You need to do this. If you don't do that, nothing else will work. Right? She really needs to feel safe with you. And once she feels safe, just like you saw in the cave and the fox, then she's ready to go out and play.
Yeah.
Because it's coming from joy. It's not coming from pressure.
Yeah, and it's coming from having the capacity to go out there after you've been, nurtured and filled up, and you've sat down, you've been drawing, you've done things, but only the things you wanted.
Yeah.
And then you're ready to face whatever the pressures are.
Yeah, and guess what? That's when you're not in survival mode. If you're in survival mode, your performance is really bad. Like, you go into freeze mode, so being in survival mode will never help you. And putting a lot of pressure so that you go into survival mode is not the way to go, right? So the key here is to be with her until she feels safe enough to go out and play. When she feels safe enough to go out and play, and there's a part of you that says, can't be bothered, that's when you use the fire in you. Okay, let's take her out. Let's that's when you do it, but you don't do it before she feels relaxed.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is an exercise for you to keep doing, so that you create this relationship to yourself, so that you fundamentally understand that how you can meet your own needs in this, so you're not in conflict with you and end up in shutdown. What we want to avoid is that survival part of you, just like being in shutdown and survival mode, right? We need to really caretake so you come into a safe place. And this is basically mothering yourself. That that's basically what you need to do, right? Then there's the masculine part, the fathering, which is like, let's live your purpose, let's take action, let's fulfill our desires, right? Not that can't be feminine, but there's kind of that other part, which is healthy too, but it needs to come from the safe. First you need to be safe, and then you need to go into the question, right?
It absolutely makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the other part that I always see in my sessions is a kind of the little turnaround, which is the part of you that feels humiliated because of how other people view you, what you can and can't do, and having this feeling of being perceived as a failure somehow, or a disappointment somehow. Obviously, that's a story that's from the past, but when we are scared of being a disappointment, we are resisting that and recreating that. So when you didn't apply for a job, you were operating from exactly these tactics, right? I am scared of being a disappointment. So in order to not feel disappointment, I will not apply for this job
Yeah.
because you are in resistance to feeling disappointment.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
humiliation.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Because
more
last time I felt that it was really too much. And so it's again, it's just let's avoid the uncomfortable and difficult feelings.
Yes, of disappointment and humiliation, right?
Yeah.
But what we did today was we sat with humiliation and we transformed it into somewhat of a feeling of safety. And the same with disappointment. We saw where it was coming from. So just by doing this, you can see that you have an ability to be with these emotions. They're not as intense because it's not exactly active right now in your life, like
Yeah.
you didn't apply to the job. But this is the relationship that I see you developing with yourself, where you have an ability to sit with humiliation and with disappointment, because these are emotions of the human experience. And to avoid them only recreates them, right?
Yeah.
By not taking that action, you then felt like a disappointment,
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So you will feel disappointment either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
better take the risks that leads you to disappointment instead of not doing it. And this is the turnaround, because what I would like you to invite in your life is your capacity to meet disappointment, is your capacity to
Yeah.
meet humiliation,
Yeah.
because you're meeting that energy, and you can only heal the way you relate to these emotions by meeting them, right? So if you avoid them, they're persisting there.
Yeah.
Persisting,
Yeah.
persisting, persisting. If you meet them, you get to work through them just like we did now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose you're also your capacity, you can deal with more of it. Like, you expand your, yeah,
Exactly. Your
yeah,
range,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
range of the emotions, the
yeah,
uncomfortable emotions you can feel,
yeah. Because the
right?
more you avoid them, the less of the
Range.
uncomfortable emotions it takes to
Yeah.
bring you out of balance.
Yeah. And if you can not put so much pressure on yourself to make a massive change, but put a little bit of pressure on yourself to make a small step, just an invitation. Okay, I'm going to make something small tomorrow where there's a risk that I might feel like a failure or like a disappointment or get humiliated. Just a little thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you didn't feel those emotions, but you still took action, yay, you took a step forward. But then I invite you to take a little bit bigger step until you kind of feel that,
yeah,
right? Because that's when you get to meet it. So your exercise isn't to get into success. Your exercise is to expand your range of capacity to be with disappointment. That is the challenge that I want your pressure to put on yourself.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
To say, you can do this. You can meet the disappointment. If we just take this little step, maybe I'll get to disappointment. That's the step that you need to take. Does that make sense?
absolutely makes sense. And it totally ties in with sort of like the people pleasing I've got as well, like you don't want to be disappointment to others.
Yeah.
Uh, you don't want to make others, upset or
Yeah,
angry at you. And it's all about not being able to probably handle those emotions,
exactly.
how
Yeah.
people might perceive me.
Yeah. And so I also wanted to view your success as your capacity to sit with a disappointment, your capacity to take steps where you feel disappointed and then sit with that. That is your work, nothing else.
Yeah,
And then what will happen then is that the more steps you take, the more range you have, the less fear you have of these things, and you can do whatever you want because you know that, well, I can do this. At least I tried. I fucked up. I failed. But that is my celebration. My
yeah,
celebration is I failed. Does
yeah, 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 yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And I do remember I read something about a woman who's doing these, but like in micro steps, little things, just
Yeah,
like asking for extra things and knowing she would get a lot of no's to be able to handle all those no's
exactly.
a lot better.
Exactly.
And obviously, sometimes you might get a yes, but that was again not the purpose of it. The purpose was of being comfortable and able to deal with
Yeah.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
again, I think with regards to um, jobs and stuff, I think also statistically, women are, they mostly apply for jobs they are 100% sure that they are qualified for.
Of course.
but let's not apply for something where we're
Yeah.
80% qualified.
Yeah.
Because it will be a disappointment, and I'm not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's why this invitation to look at it as a game with yourself rather than anything external.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel?
A little bit excited.
Hey.
Excited and also a little bit, ooh, like you're about to jump off somewhere. So you're a bit excited about doing it, but you also know it's going to be slightly nerve-wracking, or like you're about to go on stage or something,
Yeah. So what would be like one thing that you could feel that you could do maybe tomorrow already that would challenge you a little bit?
Oh, I don't know. Oh yeah, I know one thing I've been putting off, which is actually related to work. It's something I need to do, and I'm like I sort of promised my current job to let them know if I do start looking for another job, so they get a chance to employ someone. And I've been putting that off because it's uncomfortable. And what if there's going to be like an atmosphere or whatever? But I also feel it's fair that I'm not, it's fair on them to ask and to get a heads up. Yeah, yeah, I've been putting that one off.
So is that something you could do tomorrow that would be a challenge for you?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So maybe that is the first step.
yeah.
And then the next day, yeah, like you celebrate the step that you took, right? And yesterday. And in that celebration, you might decide another little thing that I do. And another little thing, because this is the only issue. There's no other issue. It's like your range of your ability to hold these emotions. That's the only thing that's blocking you from where you want to go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? It's not your capacity. It's not your skill set. It's not your personality. It's not even the people pleasing, right? It's not even these things. It's just your capacity to sit with pain.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's a exciting game to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I almost feel that that's true for so many things, that it's all about our capacity to sit with these uncomfortable feelings. I feel like that could almost be applied to anything.
Yeah. And even if we look at success as in the material realm success, most people that achieve somewhat of a success, it's because of their amounts that they failed.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just failed more times and continued. Like that's usually
Yeah.
the secret. They were
Yeah.
able to take risks and fail and take risks and fail, and finally they managed to find something that worked.
Yeah. Because they don't hold themselves back from, they know they'll be able to deal with the failure.
Yeah. And because they learn through the failure. Like when
Yeah.
there's no other way that you can learn that fast through failure. So if you really want to grow, you fail. You fail again. You fail again, like a toddler. Like that's how you learn. And when we understand that and hack that, then nothing can stop us because we just want to learn. We just want to grow. We want to learn. We want to grow. We fail. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's rather than that, I can totally overthink decisions to make the right decision, like must make the right decision.
Yeah.
Rather than just make a decision. Maybe it's the right one, maybe it's the wrong one. You can't think yourself out of everything.
Yeah. I had this, I think it was a reel on Instagram that I really agreed with, which was the recommendation to just make a choice, have the experience, and then take a decision based on that. So just choose. It doesn't really matter. Okay, just choose. And then you have the experience and then you make a decision, because then you have like data to actually make a decision. But if you're trying to make decisions beforehand, not knowing do this, should I do that, just choose one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can course correct if it was a wrong choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not
Then you
stuck
know
with
afterwards, but it's yeah. It's like, and then again, that's also the sort of thing that can stop you from making any decision.
exactly.
It's
So
just like, oh, it's going to be the right one. It's going to be, yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like this is a good place to end the session. But is there anything else that you want to add or ask or share that you feel is relevant?
No, I think that's really good. I think that's very, yeah.
Okay, good. Amazing. So I'm excited to see what happens with your game of meeting the disappointment.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And hope you have a lovely night.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this show. If you're interested in working with me, either through a similar session like this in a longer container, or if you want to come to any of my local events in Malaga in Spain, you can click the links in the show notes or go to my website, filippalevermark.com, to find out more.